Hi, I'm Susanne Schütz, and this is Cat Sounds Explained by Cat Lady Sweden. And this time we're going to talk about the howl. Cats howl mainly in territorial situations. For instance, when they're seeing another cat in the garden, or when they are meeting a newly adopted cat for the first time, or when they are uncomfortable. Howling is used to warn intruders or to complain when the cat is worried, confused, unwell, or even bored. And possible meanings, depending on the context, maybe that I see you and I don't like what you're doing, or something's wrong, or I'm feeling uncomfortable, disoriented now. Body postures and movements which accompany howling is often that the cat is crouching, the tail is down, and sometimes, as you can see in this picture here, bushy or thumping lashing. The ears may be directed forward when the cats are alert and interested, or rotated back when it's a defensive situation, and there's often eye contact involved as well. And as you can see in all these three pictures, there is some distance between the cats, so howling and growling and variations of howling or growling occur when there's some distance between the cats. When the distance becomes smaller, there's hissing and spitting, and when there's physical contact, there's snarling and pain shrieking. Some more facts about howling. Howling is articulated with a slowly opening and closing mouth. Sometimes the mouth is completely closed as well. And the place of articulation varies because there are often two or more different vowel sounds involved. So the mouth opens and closes, and the tongue perhaps also moves forward and backwards inside the mouth. And howling is probably often produced further back in the mouth than meowing, because it sounds darker than meowing. Howling is also longer, several seconds long, but both sounds are voiced, the vocal folds are vibrating, and howling is produced also with a slowly rising and falling pitch and loudness. Compared to meowing again, the howling is often louder. If I were to categorize howling phonetically, I would say that it's a sequence of two or more vowel-like sounds. Howling sounds a bit like oi, 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 or ow, or eow, or when the mouth is closed, even like a I have a nice video of Grey White who is howling here, and you can see how she articulates. She opens her mouth and then closes it again, and then she opens it slightly twice again, so you can actually hear that the vowel sounds are varying with the degree of mouth opening. It sounds and looks like this. And I'm going to play it in slow motion for you as well. Because of the large variation, the different vowel sounds, it's quite difficult to subcategorize howling. It's more like a continuous scale, but if I were to make an attempt, I would say that the howl is one subtype, which is longer and has a slower articulation. The vowel sounds change more slowly. But the yowl or moan, which is shorter and has a faster articulation, is more like a meow, but it's louder, darker and harsher. And it's mainly used when the cat is feeling uneasy. For instance, when it wants to bring up a hairball, or also when to call for a mate during mating season. And then perhaps there's this closed mouth howl, which also may be a type of falsetto growl, a very high-pitched growl. I'm going to begin with the howl and play you two audio examples of what that can sound like. This is the first one. And this is the second one. The first video, the one to the left, you will see kompis and an intruder who are howling simultaneously in a way of solving a territorial dispute. One of the cats has to leave. And in this case, it's Kompis, which is to the left, who is howling more low-pitched and louder. And this is the cat that usually wins these kind of contests, because the louder and more low-pitched howl sounds bigger, stronger, and more aggressive. So this is one example of that. That's Kompis. And that one was the other cat. Much higher pitch. And in the video to the right, you will see Grey-White again. She's articulating. You can see her mouth opening and closing as she's howling at Vimsan, who's outside of the picture, which you can hear her howling quietly as well. Notice the tail as well. The yowl or moan, as I said, is shorter and faster, and sometimes it sounds a bit like meowing, but to me it's a bit louder, darker and harsher and produced further back, so the back vowels, ow, ow, these kind of vowels. I have two audio examples of yowling, the first one being this one, the next one. The first video, the one to the left, it's Red, who's first meowing and then slowly begins to yowl, so you can hear the difference, and he's calling for a mate. Meowing more high-pitched. That was a yowl. That was definitely a yowl. And to the right we have Kompis. Before he was neutered, he has some injuries on his head. He had them when he came to us, so don't worry about that. He was treated and is now completely recovered. He's yowling at Donna, who is spayed and is not interested, but this is what it sounds like when he's yowling at her. Spray marking as well. I also heard some trill yowling or trill meowing there as well, so this may be one type of harshness that occur in the yowl. Now the closed mouth howl, which sounds a bit like a long complaining I have one audio example of that too. In the video to the left, I'm going to play another howling contest between Kompis and his intruder. Again, Kompis is winning because he has a louder, more low-pitched howl, but the intruder is sort of closed-mouth howling with this kind of quality. And you will see in the end that he's losing the fight because he leaves the garden in slow motion. Looks like this. And here you can see him leaving. Another long sequence, which I've tried to shorten a bit, is the video to the right, where Donna down here is meeting the newly adopted cat Vimsan, and she's not happy about her, so she's doing these long sequences of closed mouth howling, and you can see that her mouth is closed actually in this video. So Vimsan is quiet, the howler is Donna down there. I'm going to play a few howl combinations for you now. The howl growl is the most common one, I think. It's a howl which is followed by a growl, so the howl being louder and more high-pitched and the growl being softer and much lower in pitch. And howl growling is sometimes repeated in long sequences with slowly rising pitch when it grows into a howl and then falling pitch when it goes into a growl, and the loudness follows as well. I have a short example here to the left. Madonna down here is howl growling at Vimsan up here. And in the next video, which is completely dark as you can see because it's during nighttime, it's Kompis and an intruder who are howling and growling at each other. I have some more howl variations for you. The howl scream is the video to the left. It's howling merged or combined with a very harsh screaming. This is also repeated in long sequences often and performed in duets between two cats. In the next video you will see Vimsan, who's here, and Grey White, who's here. There's some howling to begin with, and then there's some hissing and snarling and howling again. And some more YOWL variations. To the left we have Kompis and Teddy, an intruder, who combine shorter and longer howling in this nice duet, again trying to decide who's going to leave, who's going to stay. It looks and sounds like this. In the video to the right, you will see an example of a very special type of yowl, I think. It's often heard in elderly cats who suffer from mental confusion, some cognitive dysfunction, and they begin to yowl when they are disoriented and perhaps looking for their owner or a safe spot. And I would like to thank Eva Urtenberg so much for allowing me to show this video on my website. I'm going to show you a small excerpt of it here. So thank you again, Eva. So to sum up, howling is a sound or several vowel sounds which are long, loud and dark, like oi 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 or ow. And the pitch varies and the loudness varies. And howling is often used in negative situations, when the cat is uncomfortable, in territorial disputes, or when the cat is confused. And of course, yowling can also be used in mating-related contexts. Although it's difficult to find subtypes to howling, I would say that one way of doing it is to subdivide it into howl, yowl, and the closed-mouth howl. And of course, there are combinations with howl growling, howl screaming, and other aggressive sounds. You can read more about howling and other cat sounds in my book, The Secret Language of Cats, which is available in several languages, or you can visit my project website, meowsic.se, where you can listen to and watch more examples of howling and other cat sounds. Thank you for watching Cat Sounds Explained by Cat Lady Sweden.